In our politics lead, quote, "We're on offense." That's how the Trump campaign is now describing its 2020 strategy after running this ad during Game 7 of the World Series last night.
The Democrats would rather focus on impeachment and phony investigations, ignoring the real issues. But that's not stopping Donald Trump. He's no Mr. Nice Guy, but sometimes it takes a Donald Trump to change Washington.
What do you think of acknowledging that the president can be alienating in his own reelection ad?
I think it's very smart. I think it's a really good ad. Because it actually, I wouldn't make Mike's ad about people booing him, because that's about him. For just a few seconds, we actually were pretending like the voters matter, like the economy matter, like jobs matter. For just a few blessed seconds, we weren't talking about the orange narcissist. Now, they got to it quickly, but it's a much stronger message for him, honestly. Usually what he says is, I hate the other guy, and you hate them too. For a few seconds, for a whole lot of money, he said, the president's doing a good job.
Do you think this is smart, the idea of like acknowledge he's no Mr. Nice Guy? It's an acknowledgement. We get that sometimes you don't like what he does.
Yeah, I do think that's really smart. And I think that it's interesting, we're talking about no process. A lot of what's in that ad comes from data. I mean, there are swing voters in the swing states who are going to respond very well to that, because that comes right out of focus groups and data that
what specifically? Just the economy, jobs?
Yeah, and that the Democrats are not focused on helping you. They're focused on just get him. And in the meantime, he's being strong and doing things that you want. That is a really good re-election message for him that he'll carry. Well, it's almost a table setter for the whole election.
Kathleen wants to know, which of the president's alleged wrongdoings make the strongest case for impeachment, in your opinion?
The Ukraine. The Ukraine is the heart of this case. The idea that the president abused his power by withholding the military aid to the Ukrainians in return for, in demand of, dirt on his political opponents. That is, that's what turned this from the Mueller report to impeachment. Right. But by the way, there will be, I think, two other articles of impeachment. There will be abuse of power with regard to Ukraine. There will be obstruction of justice from the Mueller report, the various efforts to interfere with, fire Robert Mueller, and third, obstruction of Congress. All these attempts to stop people from testifying. Yeah, so I think those are the three, but Ukraine is the strongest.
Lately, Democrats have been saying, quid pro quo, they believe it's there, it's been testified to by various witnesses, but it's not necessary for impeachment.
Correct. Now, and again, what's necessary for impeachment? The Constitution says high crimes and misdemeanors. That is one of the most mysterious words in some of the most mysterious words in the Constitution. There is no fixed definition of what that means.
It's like the pursuit of happiness.
Pursuit of happiness, right? So the idea that it has to be something to check the box of high crimes and misdemeanors is not really accurate. It's whatever a majority of the House of Representatives decides. But just to get back to your point about quid pro quo, remember, Colonel Vindman. He's the one who said, on hearing the conversation with the president, between the two presidents, this is outrageous, I need to go report this. He didn't even know about the quid pro quo. He thought the mere act of asking the president of Ukraine for help against your political enemies, that was bad enough, which goes to your point that maybe you don't need a quid pro quo.
She spoke like a real woman, and I felt a connection, particularly because I'm campaigning with young women about perinatal health checks or postnatal health checks for young moms. And the way she sounded reminded me very much like young women or young moms talk about, or new moms talk about their experience after birth, that nobody asks them whether they're okay. And sometimes it's very important to ask whether they're okay. And therefore, we actually think women after birth should have a mandatory health check, a mental health check particularly. And I'm not saying the Duchess is suffering from mental health problems, I wouldn't know. But the way she talked about, thank you for asking whether I'm okay, I think that's such an important message to give out there, because we don't often ask enough, and we always think new moms should be on top of the world, and sometimes they aren't.
And in this letter, you mentioned the way that the media has treated the Duchess of Sussex. For our international viewers, can you describe or allude to some of the articles in the press over the last couple of months which you think have been particularly damaging and unwarranted?
So the other side of this story is that she's a woman in the public limelight, which we as women MPs are as well. And women suffer disproportionately abuse. And on top of that, women of color suffer even more abuse. And in the 21st century, it's just so shocking and disappointing that this continues to be the case. And if we don't stand together as women in the public sphere and stamp it out and say this is not acceptable, what else can we do? You know, we must stand together.
Yeah, one of the phrases that really does jump out in the letter is when you refer to the outdated colonial overtones of some of the press coverage of the Duchess of Sussex. I mean, do you just mean racism? Do you feel like the press treatment of the Duchess of Sussex has been racist?
Well, she is framing it in a very careful way, but I think we understand what she means. And we have heard loud and clear that basically that's what she is trying to say. She's a woman of color. She hears and obviously has a particular antenna for particular language, and it's been used against her, and it's unacceptable.
When we consider the press coverage of the last couple of months, obviously not long after the Duchess of Sussex had her baby, there have been a number of issues which have occurred concurrently. For example, there was the refurbishment of the cottage that Prince Harry and the Duchess live in. There were them speaking out about environmental issues and then it being revealed that they were enjoying travel on private jets. A couple of other things. Do you think that some of this is simply scrutiny which is justified of the royal family, given that their lifestyle is funded by the taxpayer?
Well, I think that is really for the royal couple to judge how much they need to raise these issues and whether they can live up themselves to that scrutiny. But it has to be said that it is important that they can enjoy a private life, and it is important that they don't feel press intrusion to a point where the Duchess feels that really she's not okay.
Vera Hobhouse, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Champagne and beer flowing for the Washington Nationals for the first time as World Series champions. And this was a team of destiny. Every time they had their backs against the wall, they figured out a way to get it done. And in Game 7 of the World Series, it was Howie Kendrick with the big 2-run home run.
I'm so happy for the organization, for the city. I hope they're ready for a party because we're coming home. Yeah, there was some heartbreak in the past, but nothing but love here, and we're just enjoying the ride.
What do you got to say to the fans waiting in D.C. for you?
Oh man, I hope to see them loud, excited just like we are.
We couldn't be happier. You know, I think the fans have been behind us all year. We showed them that we were going to continue to fight for them and give it our all, and I'm just happy we got it done for him.
He's amazing. Amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Can you believe it? He's 21. Look at this. Yeah.
The road team won all 7 games of this series. It's the first time that's ever happened in American professional sports, and it's only fitting that this never say die gritty national team was the one to accomplish it. In the party in the Nationals clubhouse in Houston, Andy Scholes, CNN.